911, what's your emergency? 911, what's your emergency?
Be advised, Car 4 has control of the pursuit. Proceed with caution.
Hey, everybody. Welcome. Hey, Rescue. How are you? So good to see you. I miss you guys. My life's been crazy hectic, and I decided to jump on and do a live stream. I just got home. I've been at a local high school all morning because I don't know what happened to my lighting all of a sudden. That was weird. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can fix it. That's weird. Anyway, I was at a local high school all morning with my best friend and her husband, the judge. He's doing a mock trial at one of our tech schools here, technical high schools, for their law class this week. And he asked me if I would come and observe, and it was absolutely wonderful. I was like, because when he does this every year at this high school, and it's my daughter's high school. So the mock trial is really cool. I mean, they really set everything up. They do it in the library, and they set it up like a courtroom, and he wears his robes and everything. And it's just really cool. And I don't know what's going on with my lighting, and I apologize. But anyway, so I was there all morning. I took tons of copious notes. Today was just the introduction to the class about the trial process and how everything works. Talked about the law and all of that. And I took copious notes. You guys know me. I'm a note taker, and I took a whole bunch of notes. I'm going to end up putting together a live stream, I think, on everything once this is all done. And I do the case, and I go through this whole case. It's this week. And that's really cool, Rescue. That's awesome. And so Nicole usually is the defendant in this mock trial situation. This year she opted out. She's like, I need a break. So but it's a double homicide, which I thought was interesting. It's a man and a woman. And so it'll be really interesting to see. The kids asked some amazing questions. I was really impressed with how the kids were today and how they all listened and stuff. But man, did I get some really good insight into a lot of different things about the trial process. And he talked a lot about motions, and he and I volleyed back and forth so much over Delphi. And he, towards the last 2 years after Richard Allen's arrest, he was very hands-on, and I was sending him the documents as I was getting them so he could look at them and he could see the evidence and he could see what we were seeing. And then, of course, as things were going on during the trial, I was able to talk to him at length about what was happening during the day, daily. So lot of great insight. But that's what I just got home from, and I was thinking about it, and I was like, you know what? I haven't been on my channel in forever, and I feel so guilty for that. And I had this past weekend, I went to Delphi. I was there for the last memorial walk that Randy Gravitt had for Abby and Libby. And I was thinking to myself on the way home, where am I going to go with my channel? How am I going to proceed with this? And my heart is torn in a couple of different ways, but I am going to jump feet first, I believe, completely into dealing with some other cases here very, very quickly, or shortly, I should say. Flora is going to be my number one case. I'm going to talk about Flora a lot. I'm going to try and do a live stream a week about Flora. I really think that we still need to just keep talking about Flora and getting the word out. And it upsets me that we don't have more people doing that. My daughter, Nicole, who some of you know and have seen on my channel, went with me to Delphi this weekend. And my other daughter, Glenna, she is my bonus daughter. She recently lost her mother, and so I basically have stepped up and become that surrogate mom. She's one of my daughter's best friends. So that's how that all played out. But we all made the trek over to Delphi on Saturday. And let me tell you, it was a trek. It was cold, you guys. I don't know what happened in the last week, but we went from 75 degrees here, and it felt like it was a frigid 13 in Delphi on Saturday. It was super cold. It was wet. They had a ton of rain. But when we got there, it wasn't raining. And I want to say, I think Abby and Libby kept it from raining so that we could get the walk in. We did not go to the trail this time, or the bridge. We actually all met at the ball field. So we went to Abby and Libby's Memorial Park softball field. And that complex is so amazing. If you guys ever get a chance to go, I highly would recommend it, because it's really beautiful out there. It butts up right against 25, Old State 25, which is a 4-lane highway that runs across from Lafayette to the east side, or the eastern part of Indiana. And it's the ball diamond is the ball field or whatever is right there off of 25. You can't miss it. And it's very impressive. And one of the things that I will say about it is that Libby and Abby's family absolutely, and the foundation does the absolute best and care of this facility. They do all of the work themselves. While we were there, Diane Erskine, Abby's grandmother, was there. She was doing stuff around the grounds, and they do all of it. I mean, they plant the flowers, they do all the mowing, they do all the grading of the parking areas, and they run all of the concessions, and they just do so much. Hey, Gonzo. Oh, I love you. How are you? It's so good to see you. I want to tell you while you're here that I am getting so pumped and so excited for your news that's coming soon. Every time you post something and I see it, I'm like, oh, I'm so excited. I just can't wait. So just so you know. But yeah, I am so glad that I got to go. I was really starting to worry that I might not be able to go because of my surgery that's coming up, and I didn't know how that was going to fall. And when Randy chose the date, I'm like, having surgery that month. And I didn't know for sure, because you never know, when they're going to schedule your surgery. And they originally had scheduled me for the 21st, but my doctor, for whatever reason, my surgeon's not going to be in town. So they called me 2.5 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago or so, and said, we need to reschedule it. We're moving it up. And so my surgery is actually on Monday, the 14th. So I was worried that maybe I wouldn't be able to make this one. And I absolutely am going to make the next Flora Walk. I have not been to a Flora Walk yet, and I absolutely am going to do that. So I definitely want to be there. And it was highly emotional, I will tell you, for me. I know that, I think Rescue's in here. I don't know if she's still watching or not, but you can tell me if I'm right. But I think there was like 25 or 30 people there for this one. And I took off walking, and I really didn't stay with the group. Randy and I kind of walked together a little bit with a couple of other people. But I was in my own headspace. I was trying to process my emotions around this case and everything. I had a lot of people ask me why I hadn't been online, why I wasn't doing videos, why I wasn't putting, the work in for the channel while I was there this weekend. And all I can tell you is that I absolutely needed a break from everything after this happened. It was a lot, and it was highly emotional for me. And I just felt that I needed to take that break and take that step back. And so I'm kind of actually glad that I did. Hold on. I'm trying to get my light to work here, because I don't know what's going on with my camera light. But anyway, I feel like I'm in the dark and you guys can't see me. But anyway, so hold on. Let me see if I can make it even a little better. It's a little bit better. Not perfect, but it's somewhat better. So I just needed that time, and I was trying to decide what direction I really want to go with things. And because I definitely want to continue my channel, and I've built a relationship with some people here, and I really don't want that to go away. But more importantly, I want to keep bringing cases and attention to cases that don't necessarily get the attention that they should. So that's kind of where I'm at. I've been following very closely the Idaho case with Brian Koberger. His trial is coming up. I'm going to definitely cover that. So I want you guys to be aware of that. When that happens, that is a case that I will be covering on my channel. So I've been watching that. But yeah, it was just really nice to basically get over to Delphi. and see some of the people who not only follow my channel, but have followed the case, who care greatly about Abby and Libby and their legacy. This was all about the girls this weekend. We didn't talk about the case. We didn't talk about Richard Allen. We didn't talk about anything that's going on in the Delphi community regarding Richard Allen, or any of that. This was all about Abby and Libby, which is the way we wanted it to be. And to me, it was the best way to kind of end things with that. Kind of full circle, if you want to look at it that way. But to remember the girls for who they were before this ever happened, to think about them and the legacy that they're leaving behind in that memorial park that the families, tried to figure out a great way to memorialize the girls. And I'm here to tell you, I can't think of a better way. The children that will be impacted and the families that will be impacted for generations to come because of that ballpark is wonderful. They had a mediocre at best ball field that they played in before this. And this is like state of the art, top of the notch place for kids to go. Hey, Jill. Good to see you, my dear. And hi, I'll be frank. I didn't mean to miss you. I saw you come in. And so, yeah, I mean, to be there and to come full circle with the case, I'm glad that I was able to do that. There were, like I said, a lot of good folks there. And after we did the walk, it did start to rain a bit. It was just so doggone cold. And so we basically left there and we went to lunch in West Lafayette. And, it's something that we usually do. Randy is so good about putting together these walks and stuff. And my hands go out to him. What a great guy and a great human being. Huge heart. I always call him my big teddy bear. But because his heart is as big as it comes. And, I can't say enough about him and thank him for organizing these walks that he's done over the years for the girls and all the people that have been there to support the families. I know that the families appreciate it. There's been a lot, obviously that's transpired in the last couple of months. Kelsey had another baby girl. They're busy. They're trying, I think, to move on with their lives now and try to get some semblance of maybe a new normal for themselves after the trial and everything's been over. And I've left them be. I know that there's people out there that have been hounding them and getting, trying to get interviews with them and everything. But, Frank Meister and I talked about that, and we decided right before the trial was even over that we were not going to do that. We knew emotionally that the Patties and the German family and the Williams family desperately needed a reprieve from social media and media. And they needed time to decompress from everything and all the months. And so we just made that decision together, both of us, that we were not going to seek out those interviews. I know other people have, and that's fine. I'm not here to throw people under the bus. Although I will say, you got to let people grieve. And unless you've been there and went through it, you don't understand it. You don't know what I mean by that and how that feels and how badly it hurts. And like I said, I just wanted to give them their space, and I'm glad that I did. And I have watched some of the interviews. I think the last interview that I just saw was the one that Lauren did with Nick. McClelland, the prosecutor in the case. And I will say that Nick's pretty amazing. And for someone who I didn't have a lot of faith in when he was first elected as prosecutor of Delphi or of Carroll County and took over in January of 2018, I must tell you, as an outsider looking in, I really thought he was way in over his head with this case, and he did a bang-up job for the state of Indiana. He really did. I have a huge amount of respect for that man. To listen to him talk about after he had his girls and became a dad and how the case kind of changed for him, how his emotions around the case changed, because believe it or not, it does. I mean, if you're a parent, you think about these cases where these horrific things happen to children completely differently. If you're a parent who's lost a child, you think about these cases differently, which again, it's really crazy. Hang on a second, guys. You think about these things differently, and it's there's no right or wrong. Don't get me, I'm not trying to say that I know more or whatever, but I just want people to understand that it is different, and it is completely different. Oh, Jill, I'm so sorry to hear that. I am so sorry. It absolutely never stops hurting. And we grieve for them forever, as long as we until we take our last breath. Grief is a process. You don't get over the loss of a child, which is a misnomer. A lot of people think that you do, but you don't. You learn how to live with it, and you learn how to create this new normal in your life, hopefully, because it's a constant struggle. It's a constant battle. I lost my son in 1988, and here I am in 2025, and there are days when it hurts just as bad as it did back in 1988. So it's not something that you ever get over. You just learn how to incorporate that pain into your daily life. And I've always said, and I've heard it said before, that grief is only as strong and painful as the love that you carried in your heart for whomever you're grieving. And it's a testimonial to the amount of love that we have for our children. And there isn't a day that goes by that I don't think of Adam. There isn't a moment of a day that goes by where he doesn't cross my mind. I'm always thinking about him, thinking about something I would like to say to him, or thinking about something I would like to share with him. You think about the things that are not there. You think of the things that, that you've lost. And it's just not easy. Like I said, I love and absolutely adore my grandchildren. My three grandsons, and my bonus grandchildren that I have, I absolutely adore each and every one of them. But when I go and do things with them or see them accomplish things, all I think about is what would have been and what I missed out on. I was thinking about it just this past week, and I had some really good conversations this weekend while I was in Delphi. And I'm thinking about one of the conversations that I had with my daughter as we were driving to and from was, that I miss out on so many things with my 4-year-old that I lost. And I've gotten to experience a lot of things with my grandsons that I never got to experience with him. And I have gotten the luxury, I think, of being able to help parent them. And I do consider it a luxury. I consider it not all grandparents get that. Not all grandparents live just a few minutes from their grandchildren, and I'm lucky that I do, and that I've been able to have them in my life so abundantly. I'm sure that Mike and Becky are experiencing that now through Kelsey and their grandchildren. They're looking at these great grandchildren that they have as a way in some ways to heal their broken hearts, because they do help to heal your broken hearts. And Jill, I firmly am a believer. I have enough faith, and I believe a certain way about my faith and what happens in the afterlife to know that I do believe they hear us. I believe that they never truly leave us, and that they're always with us. And in so many different ways, I feel that they become our guardian angels. And, I always feel that he's right there with me, and experiencing what I'm experiencing. I think the hardest part is not being able to have those conversations and have that interaction where they're coming back and talk, and talking to us. It's what I think about with Galen. When I think of Galen and, what she lost, and how your entire family is completely gone in the blink of an eye. And how you have to somehow find a way to continue life. It's really difficult to even comprehend, and you can't fathom it. I've always said I can't imagine losing a grandchild after I've lost what I've lost. And what I mean by that is that pain is so strong and hurtful now. I can't imagine it being any worse. And yet, here we have, there's always someone that has it worse, right? My mom and grandmother used to tell me that, Kristen, there's always somebody that has it worse than you. And that it is and it is true, Kiana, Kiara, Cariel, Kyani, Galen, we love them, right? We love these 4 little girls and their mother. And our hearts are swell when we think of them. And I want you all to say a prayer and a thanks for Jinx and for Rescue and for Kathy Clendenning, because those 3 women take care of Galen's daughter's gravesite. Those 4 little girls are not forgotten. Those women go out and they put out the most beautiful, absolutely beautiful decorations on these girls' graves. And they do it for all the holidays. They do it out of the love that they have for them. And Rescue says, mostly for Kathy and Jinx. I just visit every other week. But don't count her short, you guys. She made a point of taking me there, making sure that I got to visit their grave and see their gravesite back at Halloween time. And I'm here to tell you, what these women do. It just makes my heart sore, because Gonzo, who's in here or was in here, he does the same thing for me, for Adam. For those of you that aren't aware, my son is buried in Colorado. He is out in Colorado where I lived when I lost him back in 1988. And I'm here in Illinois, and I haven't been back and been able to get back to Colorado to see him in many, 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 many years. And it was something that weighed heavy on my heart, that who's taking care of his grave, who goes there to remember him, who stands at his grave and talks to him. And I have an angel among angels, because Gonzo does, you guys. Gonzo goes routinely and sees my Adam. And, out of the goodness of his heart, So there are angels out there among us, and some of them go unnoticed and unthanked. And I love them for being able to do that. If you have the ability to pay back or give back to someone, especially in this day and age and the world that we are currently living in, I highly recommend that you do it, because there are so many people that need this and they don't understand what they do for us. They'll never understand because like Jill, if they haven't been through that loss, they don't understand the impact. But I guarantee you that Galen understands the impact, and to know that her girls are being taken, that, that site, she knows they're not there, but that site is being taken care of for her, and that they're being remembered. And Rescue's right. Kelsey's little girls are going to grow up never really being able to know their awesome Aunt Libby. They're never going to know that relationship that was stolen from them that they could have had. And it's like when I was at the sentencing for Richard Allen and I listened to the victim impact statements. And when Becky talked about it being generational, this is what she was talking about. Those two little girls are going to grow up not knowing their wonderful, great, wonderful aunt, that person that she was. And yet they're going to be able to sit on a computer one day and possibly be searching for information about their aunt and what happened to her, and come across horrific things that they should never have to come across. So, it's a double-edged sword when we think about these cases that we cover and the information that we think we're entitled to, the information that we want right now. Everybody wants to know right now. And it's, I have to say it, you guys, it's not our right, I will say this. If you have the chance, if you truly like following true crime and you feel like you want to really get a handle on it, go down to your local courthouse, wherever that may be, walk in to your criminal courtroom floor and sit down and watch a trial from beginning to the end. Watch it. You will have a new perspective on what happens in these cases. It will make you see how these are real people and real lives, and that everything we cover here is simply almost like a superficial intrusion upon those lives. And I know it's a double-edged sword, and I feel badly about that. And I know that there's still things going on with the Delphi case that is upsetting. But I feel that we did the girls justice this weekend, and that everybody, I felt their presence with us. I told Randy when we were walking, I'm like, I think they're here. That's why we, didn't get rained on. Yeah, it was extremely bitterly cold, but and it, it wasn't, we weren't at the bridge, we weren't there where we'd all been before. We didn't make that walk. I thought it was perfect for us to be at the ball fields and to end everything on that note. For me, that was really important to me. And even Nicole said to me, Mom, she goes, we don't have to go walk the trail. We don't have to go to the bridge. She goes, we've done that. We've been there. She said, this is perfect to be here, doing something and being where they loved to play ball, You know, I could kind of see them out there pitching, you know, to each other, you know, throwing the ball back and forth, playing catch, you know, Abby pitching it, Libby trying to hit it, whatever. I mean, I could picture them out there on those ball field on Saturday and seeing that. And I'm happy that I was able to be there and thankful. And I wanted to jump on and give you all that little bit of update. And just remind everyone that we all did create a relationship over this case. And I have a lot of people, you know, I laugh because I was almost to 10,000 subscribers. And once the Delphi case was over, I've dropped to 5,000. So a lot of people that were covering or following me only followed because of Delphi, and they're done. They left, they moved on. That and the fact that I probably lost a lot of people because I wasn't making content, which I totally get. But I did find that interesting that people were absolutely here simply for this case. This case is over. They knew it was over and they moved on. And I totally and absolutely respect that, you know. To drive through the city of Delphi again and kind of see it and everything. I will be back. I will go back. I think that one of the things I was telling Nicole, I said, I want to come back for Bacon Fest. So any of you that want to come out and see me, I think I'm going to try and make it to Bacon Fest this year. And we'll just have to see how my recovery is from my surgery, but I think I'll be fine to be able to do that. But yeah, I would really like to come back for that. So I will be back. Jinx and Rescue and Frank Meister and Randy and all of us will probably, you know, all of us, there'll be a core of us that meet for other reasons, just because I think, you know, we've made, like I said, these relationships, and I definitely will be back in that area because of Flora, if nothing else. I didn't record, you guys, on Saturday. Again, it's not about me. It's not about my channel. And I know people want to see it. And I know people want to see what happened. I'll post a picture of the group on my community page later today that was taken that day. I want you to know that for me, this was about the respect and the memorial for Abby and Libby. And I've always tried to make it that as such. It's not about me. It's not about my channel. It's not about that. And I know that you guys would like to be able to see those kinds of things and stuff. But that's why I don't go live. That's why I'm not, you know, doing all of that. And I know people want to know, why don't you do that? You know, but yeah. Boston said, this is true. I've seen it myself and felt the peaceful love in those colors that are constantly floating up from our messages to our loved ones. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever witnessed. You know, Boston, you've always been here. You've been here, I believe, from the very beginning close to the very beginning of my channel. And I thank you so much. You always have such kind words to say about everyone. And I appreciate that so very much. It's really important that we continue this as we move to a new case and we move to other cases and we talk about those. I don't know that we'll ever find a case that affects me as greatly personally as this one did. I spent the morning, as I told you, with my best friend. We've been friends since we were 9. When I heard about Abby and Libby back in 2017, the day they went missing, it reminded me so much of her and I and how it could have been her and I, because we used to do these kinds of things together. And it's what I think drew me almost instantaneously to the case. And then, you know, my mom was in the nursing home, and I went to see her. I went to visit her that day, and she and I shared true crime together and cases. And I think I've told you all before, she was huge into the genre, and she read books and all kinds of things on different famous cases. And her case that affected her that way is the John Bonet case. And so I told her about Abby and Libby that day, and our hearts were broken. She was like, "Oh, I hope they find those girls. It's terrible." And I'm like, "I know, Mom." I'm like, I just can't even imagine. And then for the next day to happen and us to find out what happened to them. Hey, Jinx. Hi, beautiful. I love you. To have that happen, it just broke our hearts. Absolutely broke our hearts. And I lost my mom in the fall of 2017, and on Labor Day. And I lost my dad a month later. And you guys know that I went into a horrific spiral and depression and all of that. And one thing led to another. And I ended up in really bad physical and emotional condition. And I was still trying to cover this case, and I was still trying to follow it and be there. And, I ended up on Reddit, and I ended up creating the Reddit sub Delphi's Daughters. And I did that for quite a long time. And then was led over to YouTube. And it's how I began my YouTube channel. And I feel that my YouTube life started absolutely because of Abby and Libby. And they gave me so much, because my YouTube channel and my journey through this case has led to my healing. It's led to my well-being. It opened my eyes to so many things about myself that I needed to fix. And to my own spiritual healing. And, 270 pounds gone later, here I sit with you, and I'm looking at having my skin removal surgery on Monday off of my abdomen. People ask me, well, are you going to do more than that? And I'm like, I'm just going to do one thing at a time and see where we go from there. But for now, that's what's being done. I'm not one of those amazing people that deal well with pain, physical pain of any kind. So this is going to be enough for me. If this goes as well as my knee replacement surgery went last year, you guys, I will be forever, ever grateful, because I'm like, I don't know. I just feel like I don't know. I feel very blessed to be here and to be as healthy as I am. It's been a journey. And yeah, I'm really, really glad to be able to say that to you guys. I'm going to cover my surgery and all of that on my other channel, Twisted Hippie. If you want to follow me there, please do. Because, I keep telling myself, you've got 2 channels and you've kind of just dropped the ball on both of them. But I've been really busy. Like I said, Loki, you can see Loki. He's running around here. He keeps me busy. He and I are still out doing hikes, walks. We haven't done as much this winter as I wanted to do with him. But I've had a lot of other things going on. So yeah, the Twisted Hippie. Thanks, Jinx. Thank you so much, honey, for putting that in there. But yeah, I'm going to cover it there, and you'll be able to follow me there. And And I'll talk more about my weight loss and more about all of that there. But I can't not talk about it here because I feel like you guys have followed that journey with me. You guys have watched, you guys have watched me go through that transformation. And I feel like it's something that I need to share with you. And if I can help one other person, then I feel like I've done something, because it's about helping others and it's about giving back. When good things happen to us, we should want to give back. And like I said, I sat in the middle of two of the biggest hearts in this case, Rescue All the Dogs and Jinx. Jinx times 13 and Rescue have some of the biggest love and biggest hearts out there. And I just, want to say that it was higher power than me that brought us together, because I feel like I got two sisters out of the deal. I don't know who this person is. Hang on a second, guys. I don't know what that is going on there. Sorry, guys. I feel like that was a troll. I love you guys. I love you both so much. That's what I figured. That's why I banned them. Yeah. Thank you so much, Jinx. But I saw that and I was like, what is that? I was like trying to throw me for a minute. But yeah, there's plenty of Delulus out there. But my baby is sitting here telling me it's time for our afternoon couple of miles that we usually do in the afternoon. And he's all about me. So I think I'm going to jump off here and do that. I've got to pick my middle grandson up from school here in about an hour. And Loki and I will be able to get about our 3 miles in before I have to leave to do that. So if I leave now, but stop it. But he is a big baby and he missed me when I was gone this weekend. He gets so crazy and stuff. But you guys can see that I have my other addiction behind me. If you go to my Twisted channel, my Twisted Hippie channel, I'm going to be talking about them as well. But back here in this enclosure is my male chameleon Pistachio. And over here is my, hi baby, over here is my newest lizard. He's a baby. I got him in Chicago at Tenley Park last month at the NARBC, which is the North American Reptile Breeders Conference. And it's one of the largest reptile shows in the country. And anyway, so he's one of my new lizards. So we'll be talking about him. And I redid my whole office, redid everything, got everything situated. I've been cleaning and spring cleaning everything, trying to get ready for my surgery. So yeah, I've been quite busy, but anyway, love you all bunches. Yes, cooking and finishing food. It's in my crock pot as we speak, Loki's chicken. So I know what that's like, but everybody have a wonderful day. If you're watching this on the replay, love to you all. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you all later. Good night or goodbye, everybody. Good afternoon.